to show you how absolutely precious my Airbnb room is before I make myself at home, but I'm so happy to be here. So happy. And look. And I've already opened the window because it's beautiful out on a quaint little street. Oh my god, I could cry. Open these babies. I am so unbelievably happy right now. I look ridiculous. It's so bright. I haven't been this happy in a really long time, which sounds so stupid and privileged and all the annoying fucking things because I've been traveling in Europe for weeks. It's tough. I want to preface this by saying I'm so thankful and so lucky and so grateful and so aware that I'm like doing things that people like only dream about doing. I need to say I'm aware of that. I don't want to act like I'm not loving every second of this because I'm having the time of my life. It was just really hard for me there for a while. It's currently March 17th. I started traveling on March 1st. I've been to Ireland, Scotland, London, and now I'm in Brighton. So 3 countries, 5 cities. Just started to get really tired. Probably like halfway through me being in London, I really started to hit a wall for a number of reasons. But I feel like there's the side of traveling, especially when it's like backpacking and long-term travel, that people don't talk about. I mean, it probably doesn't happen for everyone. A lot of people I've met are just like straight up extroverts and they love to do this shit. I'm such an introvert, and this is the opposite to anything that I've ever done or what I'm used to or my sense of normal. So it's been a big adjustment for my body and my nervous system. Once again, not saying that I'm not enjoying every second of it and not saying that I'm not one of the happiest people alive right now. Halfway into being in London, it was my 3rd country. It was my 3rd stop. Everything started to catch up to me. This is my first time staying in hostels. I'm used to like being holed up alone in my bedroom. You don't really ever get alone time when you're in hostels. Obviously, like I put on my sleep mask and my headphones and I feel like I'm alone, but there's not really much alone time for me to decompress and recharge as an introvert when I'm sleeping in bunk beds and in the common areas you're around people. Like I'm always around people. So that's been a big adjustment for me, is learning how to recharge while still being around people. That was one thing, is that my social battery was really starting to decline, and it really hit me in the middle of London because the first 3 days that I was in London, I was hanging out with friends that I know who live in England. So that I think was the final straw for me of like being around, not only being around people, but hanging out with people and like talking to people and intentionally being around people, if that makes sense. But also just like, I think the jet lag finally caught up to me. I think all of the travel, because travel in itself is exhausting, I think that all caught up to me. And then being in big cities, which, I mean, I lived in Boston and I lived near Tampa, but it's just very different when you're not living there and you're traveling there, because being in cities like Dublin and Edinburgh and London, like there are so many touristy spots that I wanted to go see. So every single day I was like out and about, and you know, from 9 in the morning until 5 p.m. going and doing things, which once again, most people work from 9 to 5 every day. So I know how privileged that sounds, but that is not my normal. So anything that is out of your normal is going to take a toll on your body, you know? So I want to reiterate, I know how privileged I sound, and I want to acknowledge that, but I also want to acknowledge that I'm not used to that. My body is not used to doing all of that all the time. Like, I work from my computer, I edit videos, I'm not used to running around. All that to be said, I got really burnt out, and I'm not gonna lie, the past couple of days I was sat in my hostel in London like, after Brighton, I think I'm gonna head home. I think I'm gonna call it quits. I can't keep doing this. I'm too tired. I don't want to keep doing this. After talking to some people I met in my hostel who were like, you gotta keep going, dude. I'm just gonna book everything one step at a time, because I feel like if I plan it too far ahead, who knows what I'll want to do when I get there. I think I'm gonna go to Croatia. I really want to get in the sun, like being able to sit in the sun. It's probably 60 degrees right now, and just be at the beach is like recharging me. I feel so alive. I haven't even slept. Like, I'm probably still so sleep deprived, but I feel so alive. So I don't know if anyone cares about this. I'm just so happy. I love ya. Mwah. Hi. That was so creepy. Hey. I'm gonna take my pants off. Pants are off. I got followed by a man yesterday morning, I was just walking to the same shop to get an acai bowl. I walked past this guy, and you know, like a woman's intuition, when you look at a man, you're like, oh, I don't like you. He wasn't a creepy guy, he was a scary guy, and he was like late 20s, early 30s. Not an old creepy man. I'd much rather an old creepy man than a scary man. Like, we passed each other, and then I like see him turn into this little garden thing, and I'm like, thank God he's going in there. He immediately comes back out and starts following me, and I'm like, shit. So then we're walking, and he like kept getting closer to me, and I kept like looking behind me, and if I would have stopped walking, he would have been to me in like 4 steps. So I crossed the street eventually once there's a sidewalk on the other side, and he keeps like looking over at me, and then I stop at a corner shop so he can walk past me, because I'm like, I'm not gonna keep walking next to you, like go ahead of me. And I think at that point he realized that I was trying to make it obvious, like, I know what you're doing, without stopping, because after what happened in Dublin, I'm not letting you get close to me. I don't know what you're doing or if you have a weapon. So he keeps walking and like looking back at me, and I'm like, you f***er. Eventually, like, he looks back, and I like take this as an opportunity to cross the street again, because he's so far ahead, and now a lot of people have gotten in between us that I wanted to be behind him so he couldn't see me. But of course he turned around and saw me cross the street, and then he looked at me one more time and then rounded a corner, and I'm like, what are you doing on that side of the corner? He was probably standing there so that way when I walked past he would get behind me again, but I rounded a corner ahead of him. I'm breaking out in a rash due to metal allergy. Thank God the cafe I was going to was on the street before the corner he turned at, so I turned and went to the cafe and stayed there for a few hours. But I think I saw him again this morning. It's just like, what are you trying to do? That's what scares me the most. It's like, if you got close to me, what were you gonna do? You know? Because like, we were in an area where there were people around. It was daylight. Like, it's just so weird. But I'm just gonna lay down and read for the rest of the day because I haven't been reading much. Before I came to Europe, I was reading the Akotar series, and I love it, but I'm on the last book and I just haven't been reading. So I want to read today. You have to do the things you want to do, not the things that you think you should do or that other people tell you should do, or like go see the places that everyone thinks you should see. Like, you're gonna get burnt out, especially if you're like me and have ADHD and you're an introvert and you just like get depleted by being in hostels and in big cities. Like, I'm gonna stay in hostels, but I can't be in a big city and be in hostels constantly because my social battery will run out. I love Brighton, and I love this bed is so comfy. It's exactly what I needed.